Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you and welcome. Thank you again for joining us. And this is Calligraphy Weekly. And this is Faraz Khan. So thank you for again joining us and making sure that you are following up on what we're learning here today. And as you could see, we are, busy with a lot of dots here. Let us not be confused. We talked about Arabic dot matrix or metric system, and this is really how things are scaled in Arabic calligraphy. So if you understand this and you have an intuitive sense of how things are sized, and you will have ratio and proportion, you will have a great understanding of how large or small calligraphy letters should be drawn. Okay, so this is all the red dots are extras, and this is an amazing way of looking at it. Calligraphers in the past have come up with what's called a template or essential ratios of these dots that make up a letter. So for example, the script that we've been following, it's called a Nusk script, and you could see Aleph letter has one, two, three, four, five, about five or four dots. Okay, this is again, ratio that is driven by the nib size. So if the nib size is really large, like for example, let's take a paintbrush, like 6 inches, or actually 4 inches, right? That's really long. Um, that paintbrush would have to have, if you could draw like these diamond shaped dots with that paintbrush, perfectly square, right? Then that would make up the perfect length of the aleph. So the aleph with the paintbrush obviously is not going to be this big because the dot's going to be big or huge, then the aleph's going to be much longer. Okay, so that's an example of how to use dots for different nibs or different styles of pen. So we'll get more into it. We have done some homework, as you are aware, or some work that we had shared. I just want to go first over these before we get into the letters. So Aleph, first you should try to go for 4 or 5 dots. Ba, it's about 2.5 for this side and about 4 or 5 for the stomach of the letter, right? How many, if this is a boat, you could look at it as a boat. How many dots could fill in a boat? And I would say most people would, for Nusk, would put in about 4 dots. Okay. The other big thing is this has to look different than this end. And many of you have been doing that, so congratulations on that. We skipped Jim for some reason here, but that's okay. Dal, right? This is a particular way. It's more of a triangle if you look at it. If you could close in on it, and your pen goes all the way down here, then it kind of stops. You could pick up the pen if you want here, and then you could go complete this. Okay. So that's that. If you try to come up with the whole entire one stroke, it's doable, but for beginners, the um, you know how much you're susceptible to making a big thick dot here or dal here is much more, like you'll make it a wrong one. So go with step by step, make it a two-step process. Go first down and then around or below. Okay. Obviously you've noticed that there is no kink or elbow to dal. It's a soft curve, and that's what you want to come up with, soft curves. And then the ra, it's basically a dot that's stretched a little bit, goes down here, you stop here, and then you pick up the pen and then you go further sliding down. This is one of the more difficult letters, believe it or not. But we'll talk about it. I don't want you to go be overwhelmed with all these different um, letters. Let's focus on the first few, and then we'll deep dive into words and letters. Actually, the next couple of classes that are coming up, we're going to be writing words and sentences. So this way, we'll keep things interesting. So first 2 weeks of the month, we'll do letters and pay special attention to specific letters. And then towards the end, we'll work on the sentence writing. I think that would make it much more fun, and things that we do that will be beneficial. So this is again from last time that we talked about. We have the famous which letter was this? This was that. Don't do that, right? So that was the idea, was keep your dots close and always count the number of dots you're going to need, and that would determine how long you have to go. This is a special skill set with the jim and ha and kha, so this requires some practice. And there are parameters, and we talked about these parameters, right? What are the parameters? Keep the header, it's about 4 or 5. It's not that big. Let me see. Keep the header right here, okay? And then if you go further down straight line, this has to extend out 1.5 dot. And this and the stomach, right, should not go above or beyond this, okay? So it should stay in line with the line that we create. Lastly, this one right here should be a straight line. It has a edge to it, but this is a straight line. There are jims and has and khas that people make like this in different calligraphy style, but this is not the one that we're practicing, right? You've seen jims like that, but that's not what we're practicing today, so let us not confuse that. So good stuff. Let's focus on the writing now, and I will do that. And again, if you have graph papers, it makes your job and my job very easy. How? Graph paper allows you to be able to see your letters that are not straight. Okay, that's for sure. I'll try to practice here. So letter ba. So we practice alif. We start, and then you have that as an alif. If you lift your pen, you should be able to do that. If you need to practice a few more, that's fine before your pen gets warmed, right? Now the ba, 2 parts, that's number 1. Okay, that teeny tiny part. And then you're going to put the pen at the bottom of this right here. Okay, so you're going to put that at the bottom. And then you're going to go in this direction. Could be a slightly leaning. And that's from the thick side. The thick side, like that. Okay, so you're going to make it really thick. And then you're going to have lift off, which is to go up again. And then like this. Okay, this might be a little too long, I feel. Let's count the dots. 1, 2, we talked about dot matrix, right? 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's kind of too long. All right, so that's how we measure it. But let's try again. Let's see if we could do a better job of making sure that we have the dots right. So let me try 3, 2, 1. This part, number 1, put it at the bottom. 2, it could be again tilted slightly, and 3 is to go on top again. Okay, I'm trying to show you where my pen is being utilized at a twist. So let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so 4 is good enough, and 5 is good too. So that length is pretty good. So this comes out to, if we keep it this length, then we could do it, inshallah. All right, let's do one more time. Let's do it one more time. All right, I think it's getting a little bit better. Okay. All right, that one is fine. And let's put the dots. How do we do the dots? We talked about it. If you create a diamond-shaped dot like this, keep the dots juxtaposed or next to each other. Okay, this is not the best nib I had with this pen. Okay, now. 1, 2. 1, All right, so that right there gives you an expert, feel. Like if I see this, I know that you're doing a great job. That is to keep these dots close to one another. Okay, right there. All right. So I think we're doing good here. Let's keep on moving. So we talked about Gene, Ha, and some of you were having issues and you've talked about this. And I want to quickly discuss those if possible. So when you're looking at Ha, there's a slight curve to it, even though you can hardly see, but not too much. And then you start back here. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to bring it here, not more than that. Okay, and it's gonna follow like that. So I'm gonna try my best. All right, that looks good. And if I don't get this part right, I could fill it in with the edge of my nib. So this part, pointing part, I could turn it around and then fill it up. Okay. Now again, the big thing that we learned this time and last time, this isn't perfect, obviously here. That's not good. But the big thing we learned about this that I want to show you again is this connection. Make sure when you're looking at your how to grade your paper with the calligraphy, make sure this is perfect, and then make sure this right here. Look at the lines, right? So the line's coming straight down. This protrudes out. It's like 1.5 nukta. Okay, this is almost 2 nuktas. So there's a space here that it elongates. If you have that, then you have a good understanding of the letter G, how the ratio and proportions are there. Now the dots between these from here to here should be 5 or 6. Okay, so make sure you get that. Now we're gonna go quickly to the next letter, Dal, and that should help us. Okay, right there. So we have G here. G looks close enough, right? Seems like the dots are a little smaller, and if I do the count on my calligraphy, that's 4, 5. This might be a little bit bigger because the nib size that these pens have is slightly bigger. Okay, so just be aware. Okay, so when you look at the aleph here, there's a slight difference between this aleph that we have and this aleph. Again, because the pen, the nib that they're using, is slightly bigger. Okay, now let's get into the letter Dal. That should be, for some people, they think it's like this, right? Those days should be gone. Like if you've been doing that for Dal, let's just put it away. All right, so let's never bring that Dal back again, or the letter Da. All right, why do I say that? Because that's like the easiest, laziest, cheesiest way of writing Dal, as you understand, right? So if you look at the calligraphers, right, what they're doing is they're very sensitive to any change in calligraphy and the flow of pen and the way the tip is used or the nib is used. So calligraphers are very sensitive, or calligraphy is very sensitive to it, and we pay attention to all these things. So look at the top part and look at the bottom part, how it starts, right? And that should give you, like for example here, right? There's like a slight kink up, right? You could see it, and then at the bottom, at the top too, right? So there's a difference between those two. So we want to make sure we show that in our writing. So enough of that, and let's move on to something similar to this. So I'm going to go up here and let's see, just a slight push above and bring your letter down here like this. Notice how it starts getting thin. The way I like to do it and the way I find it easier, again, just a slight push and then like this. Got it? So we're gonna try it again. What we have to do, as you could see in this dial and this dial, there's one thing that if I could do it, then I would have it a little bit better. Okay. So you got this right here. I was trying to show you, right? Pushing it a little bit too much, I would say. But as long as if you could show that the pen has slight edge to it, like this, that's amazing feat. And look at this down here, and this. Keep sure it's flat. Okay, don't do this. Make sure it's flat. In this particular calligraphy, the da is like this. And then once it comes down like this, just make sure, if you look at it, this is thick and this should become thinner. Where I feel like my dial here is lacking a little bit. Okay, so I should be producing dials thick first on top, and then look at how the lines start thinning. Okay, the connection is good. It's not like this. And again, if somebody draws it, don't draw the easy way out, right? If you do that, this is what I call right here an elbow. Okay, so this is a character. This is your elbow, and I'm gonna put the head here, whatever. And so this elbow right here, that is not correct. That's the bottom line. Don't do that. Okay. You're looking for this type of that, where there is a soft meeting point. So look at this, right? It's gentle, and that's what brings beauty to this calligraphy style. It's gentle, it's soft, it's not dependent on these really fast and hard letter calligraphy. All right, so let's do a couple more. So I want you to practice that. And the best way to do it, if you have a printout, you could always look at it closely. I'm gonna do this. I have this going down, and then got this right there. Okay, I say it's okay. It's not the best. Let's try one more time. Oh, look at this right now. See how thin it gets? Does that look better? Yeah, I think so. Notice how thick the line at the bottom is. So make sure the line at the bottom should be very thick. Just like the ba or ta, right? Or tha. The line at the bottom and the line at the bottom for jim and all that stuff is also very thick. Okay? Make sure you're following on that. Now, I have a question for you. Can you fill in with the tip of your pen as you're doing calligraphy, and if you see a mistake? So let's see, for example, if I'm doing this, right? And then I'm doing this, and then I lift my pen. Can I fill in here? Yes. With the tip of your pen, you could see if there are any mistakes. You could just fill it in like that. And oftentimes you'll see calligraphers actually do that. Inshallah, the next class I would like to introduce one of the largest calligraphy Quran that was done by, I think it was in 1990s, by one of the Arabic calligraphers from Karachi, Pakistan. And I have 15th juz, 15th sibara with me. And this was given to me by the family for the sake of education. And so it's a huge Quran. It's actually about, I think, 4 feet in height. And the lettering is just beautiful. And it's just remarkable how these calligraphers actually dedicated their lives in writing and beautifying and protecting the Word of God, the letters, right? So this was developed obviously for one specific reason, and that was the written component of the Quran, that was going to be relied upon as from one generation to another generation. So it's remarkable when you see how calligraphers in the past have done remarkable work and how they've dedicated their lives. So you're continuing on that beautiful tradition, and I welcome you for that. All right, so now that we looked at some of these letters, okay, let us look into screen share. Give me a second. I'm sharing with you again the letters, alif, ba, and for some reason the G has been dropped out. The other thing I want you to know, these letters have been graphically designed or improved, I would say, although some of them don't look like they're improved. So this is typography. And so they wanted to show this is not, I would say, original letters done in calligraphy. Somebody has done this and then improved upon the design element. Okay. All right, so I want you to, at this point, try to do this first up to that and that. So let's do 10 letters each. Homework. Actually, at this point, classwork. 10 letters each. You have the alif, ba, ta. And let's see if you can come up with. Put the one with that you think is the best. Put star on that letter. And then we'll go from there. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So what you're doing is you're writing alif, ba, ta, ba. You can pick any of the letters. You don't have to put dots and do everything. So pick alif, do 10 sets of 10. Pick ba, sets of 10. Pick jim, set of 10. Pick dal, set of 10s.